Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I'm filming this on a Saturday morning in the scorching British heat. So just to give you an idea, if you're not a Brit and you're used to this type of heat, which is, I think it's around 30 degrees currently at the moment. We've got like a proper week of a heat wave. In Britain, we're not used to that because we don't have the facilities in our houses. We essentially aren't built for that in the UK. We are struggling. We don't have aircon. I've got a fan in my room, but like I'm still dying in the middle of the night. So I'm filming this while it's boiling, and I've had to come down into our front room because this is where we get the most shade in our house. This is definitely the coolest room. So I'm not filming in my bedroom because I will be sweating right now. If you are from the UK, I hope you're enjoying the heat, but not too much to the point where you are dying. But I wanted to come on here and do a video about Orlando again. Yes, sorry. But I wanted to talk specifically about Disney and the virtual queues for two of their rides, because it is a different process. It's not a standard queue to go on these rides. So I wanted to talk a bit about the process and how it worked for us being first time users of this virtual queue. And I'm hoping this will help people if they are first time users as well, first timers going to Disney. I'm hoping this will help maybe plan the virtual queue process and the all important, what time do you start refreshing on the My Disney Experience app, because I get that a lot. So the two rides that you do need to virtually queue instead of going into a standard queue is Tron, which is at Magic Kingdom, Disney's Magic Kingdom, and then there's Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, which is at Epcot. I went on both of those rides. If you saw my proper Orlando vlogs, you will see, and you will sort of see my initial reaction, and you'll see what happened to my dad on Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. But that's not like an overall review of the ride. It's amazing. But before you can enjoy both of these rides, you have to be able to join the virtual queue and be put into a boarding group ahead of riding the rides. Now, there are two ways of actually going on the ride. There is joining the virtual queue or purchasing lightning lanes for both of these rides. Now, with the virtual queue, you have two chances to get a boarding group. You get one chance at 7 AM every morning, and then another chance at 1 PM if you are in the appropriate park for those rides. Now, each time we did this, we specifically went for the virtual queue at 7 AM, and we had heard contradicting reviews, stories, tips of how to ensure that you do get a boarding group. Because when I say the boarding groups are closed at 7 o'clock, meaning they're all gone at 7, I mean dead on 7. So this means you have to join a virtual queue on the My Disney Experience app. I would recommend doing it at about 6:55 in the morning, and then when you've got everything there and it says refresh or join queue, keep refreshing, keep refreshing. I would start refreshing at 6:58, and then essentially it's potluck. You just have to keep refreshing, and then as soon as it says join virtual queue, you'll be already refreshing the app, the boarding group selection, and you will then hopefully at dead on 7 be given a boarding group. Now, we first tried this for Cosmic Rewind at Epcot, 7 AM. By I think 6:59 we were all refreshing, and when I say all, I mean all 5 of us in the party. We were all refreshing on our apps, trying to make sure that someone in the party got a group. Luckily Sophie got a group. Dead on 7 we were group 27. So I think that was a pretty good going for our first go. And then once you've got your boarding group, you just need to ensure really that you are in the park, near the ride, at the sort of estimated time that's stated on the app. Now, I will say the estimated time is not really a true reflection of what time you'll be sort of called for your boarding group. We did notice that it kept going down and down. So our boarding group for our first time on Guardians, I think it said 11:11. Oh yeah, I remember, because it was 11:11, like you make a wish. So every time we went back and checked, it got sooner and sooner. And then, so the park opened at 9, we got called at 9:20. So a whole like 2 hours quicker than we assumed. So I'm glad we got in the park at like dead on early entry park open. So I would just bear that in mind, because the times I don't think are a true reflection on what time you will actually be called. It will be a lot sooner than you think. Now, you do have a 1 hour grace period for your time. So if you get called, say we got called at 9:20, we got a message saying, please make sure you have ridden the ride by 10:20. So you have 9:20 to 10:20 to head over to the ride, scan in and go on the ride. So you do have that 1 hour, you know, just in case you're maybe stuck on another ride where there's a queue, you've gone for food like breakfast, lunch or dinner, or you haven't even got to the park yet, because I think they were, assuming that a lot of people would not be in the parks and maybe wait until their boarding group time, or, you know, they'd go by the time that it states the estimate time on their app, when again, that's not always correct. Now, our song for Guardians was September. Now, I was really crossing everything to have Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I absolutely love that song. It's like, I love it so much. It's an amazing song. But I was still happy with September, because I think it really went with the sort of vibe and energy of the whole ride. So I was really happy, and it was a song I knew. There's a few songs on the list that I don't really know. There was one that my brother and sister had another time they went on it with it, like when I wasn't there, and they had like a really weird song that I can't even remember. No, it was called I Ran by Seagulls. Have I made that up? Something Seagulls. If that's a song, it was that, but if it's not, I'll check. But the ride is amazing. It definitely does live up to its hype. I definitely do feel like it is what you'd imagine going like an out-of-body experience to be like. It was amazing. It was very intense, I will say that. I would also recommend taking like a motion sickness tablet, like a ginger tablet, the motion sickness bands, anything like that I would recommend taking before you go on the ride if you are prone to motion sickness. I get so sick even when I'm in like the back seat of a car. It's so random. It just came randomly one day. Like, I've been fine up until about 2 years ago when I suddenly was getting car sick. So then I was starting to get worried for the rides. I was absolutely fine on that ride. I did not feel any type of dizziness, motion sickness, anything. It was amazing. And then moving on to the other virtual queue that you can get is for Tron, which is in Magic Kingdom. Now, it's exactly the same process. You just have to either do it at 7 AM or 1 PM if you are in the park, or alternatively you can also get a lightning lane. So we again tried 7 AM, doing exactly the same process at 6:58, refresh, and luckily we got group 6, which was ridiculously early. Like, we were the first groups to be called, because they do call your groups in like batches. So we got into Magic Kingdom for early entry. We were in the queue for Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin. This was still in early entry. It was about 8:45, and we got the message to say, you can go over to Tron now. So we were still in the queue for that. We still had that 1 hour grace period, so 8:45 to 9:45. We went on Space Ranger spin, came out, and then just took a leisurely stroll over to Tron, which was in the same vicinity. It was in Tomorrowland. So that was exactly the same process with that. It's a good ride. It's definitely not the best ride there. I do think it's very underwhelming for the 6 years it took them to make it. I think in this, you know, the 6 years it took them to make that, it took Universal, I think 2 years or a year and a half to make Velocicoaster, and that, well, I haven't been on it, well, I didn't go on it, but it does definitely look like a better ride, more of an intense ride than Tron. And also Tron is a replica. They have it at Shanghai Disney. So yeah, it was a good ride. It's not as thrilling as other rides. I would say if you want to try sort of first time thrilling coaster, I would say that's probably the one for you. Yeah, it's not very long. I said that in my sort of review in one of my earlier vlogs. I just think there was something missing, and I think it just was not long enough. Also with Tron, the seating is, you are sat a different way. You are sort of sat almost like you're on a motorbike, so that might be uncomfortable for some people, and I think due to the way you are sat and due to the requirements, some guests may not be able to ride in the motorcycle seat. You may have to wait for the normal modified seats at the back of the train. For me, it didn't hurt. It wasn't, I wouldn't say it was uncomfortable. I did just find it a sort of strange way to ride a roller coaster rather than sort of sitting like that or like that with the shoulder bars. I enjoyed it. I think it was fun. I would definitely go on again. I think it is one of those rides that you can just you know, go back on, even though you can't at the moment because you are sort of stuck with doing it twice in a day and that's it. I'm not sure if they'll change these virtual queues. I assume they will in the future because these are the two newest rides. So I think that with all new rides, they will test this out first because of the popularity of them. For now, I think the virtual queues work well for a new ride, again, due to them being very popular. So it does sort of alleviate any congestion, any queues, any issues. It's sort of a nice, smoother way to ride the ride. You can also purchase a lightning lane for these rides, so it's exactly the same process as if you would buy an individual lightning lane for other rides in certain parks. You can't purchase these on Genie Plus, they have to be an individual lightning lane. They are quite pricey. I think Tron, I looked and I think it was $20 for the day that we were there, and I wouldn't pay $20 to ride it once. I would maybe pay that for the whole Genie Plus day, which we did some of the days, but I wouldn't pay it just to ride it once because I don't think it's worth it. I think Sophie rode individual lightning lane for Guardians and I don't think it was $20. I think it was just a bit less. I want to say like $18 or $17. She said it's worth it. I would say it is worth it because it is a really good, intense ride. But yeah, I don't think I would purchase individual lightning lanes for either of them at the moment, unless they were included in Genie Plus. And then just to note as well, you can, if you miss the 7 AM virtual queue, you can try it in the parks at 1 PM, but just remember you have to be in the actual park. So Guardians, you have to be in Epcot, Tron, you have to be in Magic Kingdom at 1 PM in order to try and join a boarding group. Now, from various groups I've seen on Facebook and from speaking to other people, the 1 PM virtual queue I think is a lot easier to join than the 7 AM. I obviously can't say that because I didn't go on the 1 PM one, but I just have heard that from other groups that it's a bit easier. So if you do miss the 7 AM, you may have a better chance for the 1 PM slot. But both rides were really enjoyable. They were really fun. I can't wait to go back and ride them both again. You never know, when I go back, they may have completely removed virtual queue from these rides, so it might be a whole different experience. But from me personally, the virtual queues I think were really smooth. I didn't have any issues with them. I found them to just be nice and quick on the app as well. The My Disney Experience app is really quick to use and really easy to navigate around as well, so I didn't have any issues with that. I will say, me and Sophie both tried it different ways. So I tried it without Wi-Fi and Sophie I think tried it with Wi-Fi. I didn't find any issues with either or, but I have heard that some people say it might be easier or quicker depending on the speed of your Wi-Fi to go on and use data instead. So just bear that in mind as well. But both rides were really amazing. They were so much fun. I really want to go on them again. But yeah, the virtual queue process, in my opinion, was nice and easy. And I think for anyone who's using it for the first time, will find it easy to navigate. As I said, it is easy to sort of look through and go through the next process on the app as well. They do make it easy for you to join. It's just the refreshing at 6:58, 6:59. It's definitely a process. But thank you all for watching this video. If you go to Disney, please go on both of those rides, and both rides are totally worth it. So thank you again for watching. I hope you found this useful for your planning for a Disney trip, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!